Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about a model building exercise that we are going to do this week since we are remote and we'll not be able to do experiments in the lab. So we gave you all a model kit, let me see it on the camera, that looks something like this. So before I show you what we're going to do with the model kit, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you this slide here. So here we can see that there's actually up here in the upper right hand corner, there is a picture of what our model kit looks like. So you can see the different colored balls up here at the top, and these are the sticks right here. So this is something that's called CPK color assignments. So the CPK stands for, originally, the C is for Corey, for Robert Corey, and P for Pauline, Linus Pauling. So Linus Pauling and Robert Corey were collaborators. Linus Pauling wrote a book called The Nature of the Chemical Bond, which some have said is one of the most influential textbooks in the 20th century. So they devised this color scheme where different atoms are different colors, and that helps us to not just figure out the shapes of the molecules, but the atoms that make them up. So we have hydrogen is white, carbon is black, nitrogen is blue, and oxygen is red, and the halogens in our kit are all green. So Colton, this is from Walter Colton, he was the one that extended beyond the atoms that you usually find in biological molecules to these molecules right here. So we have this extended color system right here. But what we're going to be using in our kit is we will use white for hydrogen, black for carbon, nitrogen is blue, oxygen is red. For us, all of our halogens are going to be green. We don't have any of these balls that are this color. We have sulfur, which is yellow, phosphorus. I think in our kit, our phosphorus is actually a sort of a silvery color. So this kit isn't strictly CPK coloring, but it's pretty close. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing and I want to show you this kit. So the other thing about this kit is there are different holes in it, and usually, although not always, usually that indicates the valence of the atom. So for example, if I have carbon, the kit also comes with these small gray sticks. So if I want to make something like methane, I should try not to do this so fast that you can see it. So I can have 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I've done is in the kit, the carbon atom has 4 holes in it, and it allows me to make 4 bonds. So if I want to do methane, methane is just CH4. So I'll put the white balls on the other ends of the sticks. And that is methane. So we can see that methane is CH4, the carbon in the center is black, and the hydrogens are white. And we've used these sticks to indicate that these are single bonds. And this helps us determine the shape of the molecule. So so Dr. Tech said that he went over this a little bit with you in class. So this is a tetrahedron structure. So it's sometimes better, I think, or maybe easier to make a model so we can actually see what this looks like. If you just drew CH4 on a piece of paper, it might be hard to see what the shape is. The other thing I said that the holes do indicate the valence. So notice on the hydrogens, there was only 1 hole for the hydrogen because hydrogen typically only forms 1 bond. Now it is possible for carbon to form double bonds. So if I do that, the model kit has these other sticks, but these are flexible. So the other ones were not flexible. So if I want to make a doubly bonded compound, I'm going to pull off another hydrogen. And what I've done here is I have a carbon, and there are 2 single bonds to hydrogens But now I'm going to grab another carbon and I'm going to take that double bond and I'm going to bend it. So I'm going to show you in the camera so you see what it looks like. And it looks like that. So those flexible pieces are able to bend. So this shows a double bond between the two carbons. And then you see that there's only room left for 2 other hydrogens on that side. So I will fill this over on the other side with 2 more single bonds. So I'm plugging in another single bond here and another single bond here and 2 hydrogens. And there I have my molecule. There are 2 carbons that are shown in black, and they have a double bond between them. In order to do that, I had to bend those flexible pieces in order for that to be able to snap into the holes on the black pieces. And then you can see that there is room for carbon to bind to 2 other hydrogens. But we can also have some idea of the shape here too. So notice that this is more of a planar shape, so it's not a tetrahedron like the other molecule that I drew. And we would call this trigonoplanar because if I look at it this way, you can see that each one of these carbons is directed. We have 3 regions of electron density around each carbon, and they form a flat plane with the central atom bonded to 3 other atoms. So I can also make a triple bond. So if I do that, I'm going to pull off these single bonded hydrogens, and I have 2 holes left, and I'm going to get another flexible piece right here, and I'm going to put this in. Actually, I'm going to have to move my hydrogen in order to do that. Okay, so what I have here, this is a triple bonded compound. So again, with those flexible pieces, I had to bend them, but you can see that the model shows that between those 2 carbons, there's a triple bond. So you can see that there are 3 bonds between the carbons, and I had to use the flexible pieces in order to do that in my model kit. These pieces right here aren't flexible, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. So we're going to use these short non-flexible pieces for the single bonds, and then we'll use the longer flexible pieces for double bonds and triple bonds. So again, now if I hold this up, you can see that this has a linear shape. If you look at the hydrogens and the 2 carbons, that they form a linear shape. So being able to build these molecules gives us some idea of the shape. Now it is also possible for me to use molecules other than carbon and hydrogen. And I did tell you that the model kit allows me to use these pieces in a way that indicates how many bonds these atoms can form. So oxygen is red, and oxygen typically forms 2 bonds. So here I've decided to do a double bond. I'm going to actually make carbon dioxide. So I'm going to pull off this carbon and use 2 oxygens. And now I know that maybe looks kind of strange, but again, to do the double bonds, so here I have a carbon here and then an oxygen here. So this carbon and this oxygen has a double bond, and this carbon and this oxygen has a double bond. So notice I've used the flexible pieces to show the double bonds. And here again, you can show that this compound is linear. So just to show you the other pieces in the kit, so these are the halogens. So whether it's fluorine, chlorine, bromine, or iodine, we will use green because that's what this kit has. And there's just 1 hole because the halogens only form 1 bond typically, although there are exceptions. We have other central atoms. So here's nitrogen. So nitrogen is blue. And again, this has 4 holes. But we also have atoms that can expand their octets. So if you look at this silver piece right here, there's a hole on the top and on the bottom, and this is sort of a cube. So we've got 4 holes along each one of the faces of the cube, and 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. So we would use this for an element that could expand its octet and form a compound with a central atom with 6 bonds. And we should have one with 5, and yes, we do. Here we go. So this is purple. So here I've got, this is sort of triangularly shaped. So I've got 1, 2, 3 holes here, and I've got a hole on the top and a hole on the bottom. So this would also show a central atom that could expand its octet that could bond to 5 other elements. So if you feel like playing with the kit between now and Tuesday, that would be great. But we will see you Tuesday, and we will have fun building molecules together, and we will discover things about their shape, the bonding, and whether the molecule is polar or not. So you'll cover that in class. But a polar bond is a bond like this carbon dioxide that I've just drawn. If you think about electronegativities, you may have already learned in class that oxygen, which is shown here in red, has a greater electronegativity than carbon. So these electrons that I've represented in these double bonds aren't going to be shared equally. They will be spending more of their time over here by the oxygen. That makes the oxygen slightly negative and the carbon slightly positive. So when we make models of the compounds, we'll see their shapes. We can look at their electron arrangement. We can look at the orbitals that mix together to make the central atom, and we can discover something about polarity. So we will see you on Zoom on Tuesday.